Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It's markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Coming off of a stock market holiday that we had yesterday, Juneteenth. The stock market was closed yesterday. We took the day off here from YouTube videos and from Markets in the Morning. And we might make that a thing. If the stock market is closed, we'll have a day off here. But here we are at Markets in the Morning. What we do is we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market and the stock market as the day is getting started. So the stock market just opened seconds ago as I was doing my intro. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in crypto, what's going on in stocks, metals, news, crypto news, broader market economic news, all that good stuff as the day gets kicked off and the week gets started. Mixed day over here in the cryptocurrency market. Half the stuff, not quite half, but total market cap is negative 0.16%. Altcoin market negative 0.49%. We got Bitcoin up $41. So Bitcoin had a little bit of a pop here in the last day. Bitcoin sitting at 26,900, bouncing out of that green box that we were looking at for the last couple of months now, fighting against our previous resistance level. Working on that cruel summer, the original hypothesis was that we would just kind of meander through here to close out the volume profile gap that we've had over here for Bitcoin. So we could take a little zoom out look on that. Let's go to the daily. And that we've had a volume profile where we have done no trading in this area. So this is the area we've been working to fill out in here, and we've been spending time bouncing around in there. And that was really kind of the thought process of what we would be doing here this summer. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. And we'll put ourselves on the time frame we were just on. So essentially between these areas, we're now back above there. So we have traded in here. And why is that significant is just that we've always treated this area as cutting through it like butter. There's never really been much going on in this area. Now trying to build a support working out in here. So there's still kind of a resistance area here to really get broken out of, to kind of get excited to say the cruel summer is over. I don't see indications of that happening just yet, but maybe it'll pop up out of nowhere. But so far so good that it did bounce out of there. We could see the just bearishness holding underneath 80 under here and then finally working our way back up. So we really need more of kind of just a boost to get kind of excited that the trend could be changing. But otherwise, we came right back out of there. So let's get rid of these right there and right there. There we go. Moving over to XRP, you may see that I put in the title XRP Day. There's nothing really happening with XRP today outside of that. We've studied this stuff, right, of how long XRP, the crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then that we've had the same accumulation schematic happening in here. If you look in here, back in 2017, this is the actual day. You can see where we start. This was the day that it all began. The big run up began on this day here. How many days into this are we at this point? We are 797 days into this thing. That's how many days we were last time. We'll see if anything comes of it. That's time predictions are like the worst, especially mine. Yeah, so there you go. There you have it. This is the day where things started getting juicy over there on XRP when it came to time. You got a lot of people who sit there and like heavily focus on time. If this thing continues pulling back in here and time gets lost, it doesn't change anything for me. This is just time. I have historically learned that time predictions are usually going to be wrong. But interesting enough to see, 797 days. That's how long we spent in this thing last time. And that's the exact same percentage move downs that we've done. I can't remember what this was. Is this 85.5%? is what both of them were. Is that correct? Yeah, 85.5%, 797 days. We're there. Let's go. As for the stock market, this is the doozy. This is the one that's got my attention, of course. This is the one that's got me a little nervous over here. The Dow got all the way back to the 702 back in November, right? And so the Dow has just somehow been able to hold this 702 retracement for the last 6 to 7 months. Then late last week, we had our buddy, the S&P 500, come up and hit the 702. Then we got the NASDAQ come up and get into the retracements as well. So we have all the indexes there. All of them are sitting at their retracement levels currently right now. Gold trying to say, hey, what are we going to do? Gold's sitting on the top side of the retracement. And then you got the S&P just below it, and you got the Dow just below it, but you do have the NASDAQ above. So kind of that big fight. You have these two on the underside of it. You have this guy. Oh, wrong one. We have this guy on the top side of it. And notice, guys, right? So like gold gets pushed back down, right? As gold's pulling back down, what happens? The S&P are going, and the NASDAQ is going. So the big battle still rages on between what's going to be the decision between gold and between stock market indexes. And I see it so much misconception in the cryptocurrency market of how many people think, Bitcoin and this guy are tied together and they're going to go for the big rampage to the upside. And just that they're not. This is an inverse relationship to the stock market. I would say that the thing Bitcoin does have going for it is, at least in the last 6 months since the FTX collapse, there has been some oddities in regards to the stock market and in regards to Bitcoin, but not in Bitcoin's favor, right? I mean, if it was purely tied to it, just even in ranging contexts, well, it didn't go with gold, right? And it didn't go with the S&P yet. So my thoughts are it's probably a delayed catch-up game happening in there. But, those for cheering for gold, you just don't have any context to support that. So now we're kind of waiting on the big battle here happening. Is gold going to be the one to go set the all-time high, or is it going to be the stock market indexes as these two sit here? We actually covered this quite a bit last week. We talked about Wyckoff distribution, and that this could be our initial phase of distribution. So this is just the big danger zone in here. But if we do get through and if we do set a new high, my thoughts are this is really just still distribution gone. So we'll keep our eyes on it. And but boy, fingernail biting time right now for the S&P, NASDAQ, and the Dow. As it's back here at these retracement levels once again, like we just said with gold, the big struggle too. Looks like gold's having a rough morning to start the day, down $14. So hopefully a good sign. A breakdown in gold is a good thing. So we'll take it. As for the dollar, US dollar currency index, up slightly this morning, up 0.04%. Nothing to run home and tell mom about at this point. Just kind of a bear flag happening in here. Nothing out of what downtrending bear flags look like. As for news going on in the market, let's see what's going on in the news. Stock futures fall as investors kick off the holiday shortened week of trading. They don't have anything to say about the Fed or the debt ceiling anymore, so we'll talk about the holiday shortened trading week. No stock news over there on CNBC. Powell's tricky task of explaining rate pause in Congress. Maybe we'll check that one out. Let's take a look. Are they going to let me read this thing or not? Federal Reserve Jerome Powell will have an opportunity this week to clarify what many found a confusing message on the path of interest rates, with the added task of assuring Democrats and Republicans the economy is on track. The Fed chief will face questions from lawmakers on Wednesday and Thursday, his first testimony on Capitol Hill since early March, before the banking sector turmoil prompted sharp criticism of the Fed and forced officials to rethink their policy strategy. So we're going to have Jerome Powell testifying in front of Congress, it sounds like, on Wednesday and on Thursday. So we'll see what that's all about. Lawmakers versus the SEC versus Binance. Law decoded June 12th through 19th. Why Cathie Wood is bullish on Coinbase stock and believes Bitcoin will reach $1 million. By the way, last week we did cross Here's time predictions for you. You ready? Everybody remember 3 months ago, Bitcoin to $1 million in 90 days or whatever? It's down. It's currently negative from what it was at the origination of that statement. So Bitcoin to this was the moment right here. Oh, so it's up slightly, right? But this is where the market went YOLO on Bitcoin's going to $1 million in 90 days. We have bypassed all that time. We're still here. So placed $1 million bet that Bitcoin would go to $1 million in 90 days, and we're not there. So there's time for you. But this always makes really good headlines to say we're going to $1 million, we're going to $500,000. I don't see the support saying that. Twitter suspends meme coin linked AI bot after Elon Musk scam crypto claim. Is the cryptocurrency market about to break its 10-week losing streak? Dang, we're on 10 weeks. Watch out, Ordinal's 30,000 inscriptions land on Ethereum. 31% of young Australians hold crypto despite being risk averse. Okay, Binance's BNB chain introduces layer 2 testnet powered by Optimism. How about that? More optimism, huh? That's what Coinbase is using as well. Australia's crypto laws risk being outpaced by emerging markets. We got a lot of Australia stuff. We've been getting that in the last couple of weeks. Bitcoin reaches 50% market dominance for first time in 2 years. Yep, Bitcoin's dominance is up. IMF envisions new class of cross-border payment platform with single ledger. So no huge news out there. Let's see if there's anything on CoinDesk. This one's always so difficult to navigate. Bitcoin holds steady following China rate cut. Oh, China did a rate cut. Huh. Crypto lobbyists ask SEC for info on Prometheum. Boy, there's a lot of drama on that Prometheum stuff, huh? Holy cow, if you don't know what that is, I'm not educated enough to dive deep into it, but boy, it sure screams insider workings of the SEC. Japan's crypto exchanges push for 10 times leverage on margin trading. Oh, great, more margin. That always works out great. Tokenization could be a $5 trillion opportunity led by stablecoins and CBDCs. Bitcoin is becoming illiquid at 147,000 a month in signal of steady accumulation. Last week, we saw that BlackRock filed for an ETF. I saw somebody come out with a stat, and so this is going to, I don't know if that stat is correct. I don't know what. So this could be a stupid statement, and you should research it yourself. But like BlackRock's like success rate on getting their ETFs to go through is like 547 to 1. Like they've only had one that's ever been declined. Otherwise, they always all go through. So you got the SEC on their attack, and then BlackRock comes in and files for their Bitcoin ETF. After how many have the SEC declined? Right? BlackRock comes in. Oh, sure, we'll give it to you. Coinbase policy chief Shirzad squares off with SEC enforcement director. What winter institutions crypto view rosier than you think? Politics is interested in crypto, even if crypto isn't interested in politics. Yeah, so I think one of those things about politics heading into the next election is that we're going to probably see politicians be pro crypto. But I think we kind of have seen a couple of them slip up when they actually speak about it, that they don't really know anything about it. They might just be saying their talking points they're supposed to be saying. So I don't know. I think if somebody comes along and truly knows what they're talking about, that'll be something we all pay attention to for sure. So otherwise, as we start off the week, mixed week over here, nothing too exciting. No huge falls happening in the market, but no huge gains happening either. Kind of just like a steady hold. I think the only thing is really Bitcoin bounced out of there. How does Ethereum look? I think Ethereum maybe like in a back test. So Ethereum kind of looks like in a back test. So, my best guess is that at least some of these altcoins, right? If we're in Wyckoff spring, has Ethereum completed it? Just from years of experience, that sure looks a little toppy. at least for Ethereum in here. I'm not seeing anything saying it's going to go break down and set new lows, but that we could have something coming in here. But as for Bitcoin, just holding steady in a cruel summer, man. So, trying to think, is there anything exciting going on this week? I don't think so. I think we're all still just kind of in that kind of hangover a little bit from the SEC lawsuits and the sell-offs that took place from there. Nothing has really bounced from there. Kind of seeing if we're just going to kind of chill here or if we're going to go retest all those lows once again. And I think it's kind of the fingernail biting happening everywhere in the market right now. And then at this point, like with, I think it was Jeremy Hogan who posted it over there on Twitter that like the likelihood, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, if I'm misquoting this, likelihood of like, the SEC lawsuit coming to conclusions, the most likely days are on Thursdays and Fridays. So every Thursdays and Fridays to be sitting there, watching it like a hawk to see if that eventually comes out. And if it does come out today, you live in a simulation. I'm just saying, if it does come out today, you live in a simulation. That would be legitimately insane. Legitimately insane if that's what ends up happening if it came out today. So coming off of a long holiday weekend, at least for the stock market, and prices are just continuing sideways. So pretty boring. But I think the major things to watch over here, of course, we have the stock market. So it looks like the Dow has taken kind of a whack this morning. It's down about 0.5%, whereas the S&P is down about 1/3%, but the NASDAQ is slightly up. So looking over here, you can see Tesla's leading, Netflix, Nvidia, Coinbase, losers, Caterpillar, and GE. So not a terrible day in the markets over here, but the Dow is taking a whack for sure. Where's United Health? United Health's in the green. I'll be darned. Okay, cool. All right, that's what we're looking at heading in. So we bounced from our bounce zone, fortunately, but no indications of a breakout happening for Bitcoin as of yet. Still in the cruel summer, waiting for something to break upwards. Otherwise, kind of looks like an ABC finishing move here. There's not a whole lot to say, right? We're just kind of stuck here, and this is just kind of how our summer is going until something significant can happen. This is the support level, right, that we held back in April. That's where we are currently right now, fighting against it. So this isn't a breakout. This is still more of just ranging action here for Bitcoin. And then whether we're going to get some catalyst coming for XRP. And now we're all patiently waiting on these guys over here on the stock market as they are at the retracement levels. The one that's holding itself up the best is the NASDAQ. However, the S&P and the Dow have both hit that 702 and have both pulled back from it. So as for gold struggling this morning, good sign. That's a good sign for the stock market. And like I say, I'm very hedged in precious metals, right? I've got gold, I've got silver. I'm very hedged on the idea that it's one or the other. But I will gladly accept my gold and my silver getting hammered into the ground in exchange for equities up and crypto up. So this happening, I'll take it all day. All right, guys, let's jump into the chat. Welcome back to a new week. Still ranging action from what happened to us a week or two ago. And I'll just waiting for something new to develop here in the crypto market. The positive news is Bitcoin held that support here so far. Let's look at it on bigger time frames. Nothing too exciting on the daily, nothing too excited on the 12-hour. Definitely a break here on the 8-hour, but nothing like explosive. 4-hour uptrending, right? So highest RSI we've seen on the 4-hour dating back for the last 3 weeks, but no breakouts taking place just yet. So, all right, jumping into the chat. Welcome back to a new week, guys. Small X, does it matter if a new low is set during spring? Example, Arweave or Osmo not financial advice. As always, thanks BCB. Love the Netherlands. No. Okay. So this is the hardest spring there is, right? I'm hoping to have the course out within a week. I've already recorded all the Wyckoff accumulation, Wyckoff distribution stuff. I think I have it over here. I think it's still posted on that Atom chart. Let's see if it's still there. Come on. There it is. So let me put that back so you can see that. All right. I'll get it off. This is always inconsistent. This is the hard part. And these are the worst. These are not my favorite because you're left with this really big challenge in this circumstance. And it's like the market makers know it. So like for Atom or Cosmos, we're not in that situation. We're in a creek, we're in a break. But as we can see here in Wyckoff Spring, and if you do reading on Wyckoff Spring, the definition of the spring is that it takes out the trading range low. Let me see if I can find it on Wyckoff accumulation. We're going to read it together real quick. Here we go. Did I already pass it? It's up here. And a spring, right? So that is what we are talking about right here. We're talking about spring phase, right? Springs or shakeouts occur late within a trading range and allow the stock's dominant players to make a definitive test of available supply before a markup campaign unfolds. The spring takes price below the low of the trading range and then reverses to close within the trading range. So it will take price below the low of the trading range. But that's not always true. In a lot of circumstances, just like we saw with the entire altcoin market back in 2018 through 2020, we held. And just like with Bitcoin back in 2015 to 2016, we held. XRP in most of its trading ranges and most of its Wyckoff accumulations, it holds. So when you get this scenario, let's read the rest of this. This action allows large interest to mislead the public about the future trend and direction and to acquire additional shares at bargain prices. So to expect that it's going to shake retail out, and this movement is intended to induce retail traders and investors in long positions to sell their shares. So why is this so difficult in here? Because in a lot of scenarios, this could be your ascending triangle. This could be your bear flag. This could be your bear pennant. And you've broken down from the bear pennant and you've gone in for a back test. And then you start pushing back down. And then you think to yourself, that's it. Now we're going in for the full breakdown to come up and happen in here. But then it shoots back up to the upside. And so we do see these where they do go set new lows. And like, for example, I think Tron did it. So this is our Wyckoff accumulation of 2018 through 2020, right? So rallies, boom. That's classic in here. That's also, darn, I already took that off the screen. We'll replace DXY. We're not going to look at DXY anymore. wrong one. That's algo. There we go. We'll copy that. Copy. Total 2. Can we paste you here? Yes. Oh boy. Right. So we come in for spring, right? So this time period, that's the same time period here for Tron. And as you can see, Tron comes in and slams the lows and does set a new low in here, and then goes off. But we held it over here in the total altcoin market cap in here, and we held it for Bitcoin back in 2015 as well. So it's always sketchy at this moment if you have one like this where they go below these lows, because you start saying, well, we're breaking the range now. We've back tested the range. Do we go lower? I'd say the hardest one, I'm okay in a lot of the trades I've made. The only one I'm struggling and really difficult right now is Chainlink, because I don't have conviction in Chainlink. I don't have, I'm not interested in being a long-term holder in Chainlink, and that's what you have happening right here. Right. And is that the circumstance that's going on for Chainlink right now, that it has creaked, set this low, and holding in here? And so I'm at these crossroads here on this accumulation schematic to say, if it sets a new low, am I going to cut it? And I'm thinking I am. And if it sets itself back up, to come higher and then accumulate here, well, then, there's a different shot to be taken right in here. But so long as it's down here, it's this risk of, is it going to go into a big plunge? And that is the biggest problem with this particular setup when that new low comes in, because it's designed to do exactly what it's designed to do. It's designed to shake you out. And it has the structural setup of one to shake you out. So to take a trade into the spring is very difficult. Much easier to take the trade should it come back and close within the trading range than say, okay, great, now let's go. But while we're below the trading range, there's this big risk of further breakdown. So yeah, this is my problem child right now. Out of all of them that I have, this is my big problem child. Dang Chainlink. It wouldn't be a problem if I was like, if I had long-term conviction on this one, but I just don't. Not Chainlink. Like XRP, I can huddle it through anything. Cardano, I could huddle that through anything. And same for Ethereum, but not Chainlink. So this is a difficult one on if this is a breakdown or if you're right there, right? This one's a nightmare for me. I've spent way too much time on this particular one. The other ones are okay. When you have like Atom, Atom's not even close to creating a problem in here. It has a lot of room to be able to breathe and not be a breakdown and just be a totally normal structure in here that I'm comfortable with. It's Chainlink that's the problem. But okay, I got to move on. I spent a lot of time on that. I'm not familiar with Wyckoff Springs happening on either one of Arweave or Osmo, but it is normal, very normal. And even it's in the definition that you will take the price below the low of the trading range, right? Like what you're seeing in Chainlink is exactly what you see in a spring, in a shakeout, is that it takes the price below the low of the trading range, right? Chainlink's been in that range for over 1 year now, and it takes the price below the low of the trading range and then reverses back up. So it is normal, but in crypto also we see it very often where it doesn't, which is why I just showed you the total altcoin market cap. But these are always a nightmare when you get down here, because now this one's okay, but it's things like Chainlink where you say, yeah. So if this thing goes any lower, I'm likely cutting it. Whiskey 2. Like the video, life is hectic and will continue to be for a while, but that doesn't mean the likes can Slack. Miss you guys. Thank you, Whiskey. Always supporting me, reminding me about the likes. So if you could, we got 1,800 in here. If you could, please like the live stream. It's the #1 way to support the channel. Oscar Hernandez, my dude, right out the gates, man, with the super sticker. How's it going? Thank you, Oscar. Andy Philpott, what's up? Hype. Yep. Welcome back, guys. I missed you guys. I was busy yesterday. I put in, like I said, if I'm not on the stream, I'm still grinding over here on this end. I put in a 4 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. day yesterday. I don't know how many hours it is. 17 and a half hours. I mean, I had a couple rests here and there, but started at 4 a.m. and finished at 9:30 p.m. last night to get this course, trying to get it completely done. And we're shooting to have it launched by the latest next Monday. Daniel, hello, sir. What does it mean for a Bitcoin ETF would be happening? Would you mind explaining to me like I'm a 5-year-old? Love you. I don't know the stipulations of what their ETF would be, but essentially just another investment vehicle where people in their retirement funds can invest. Just another option held by BlackRock, right? So taking the risk out of being responsible for holding Bitcoin and being able to invest in it with money from your investment portfolios or your stock portfolios, right? Really, one of the only options out there right now is for major money would be like Grayscale. And Grayscale's is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And that thing is just faltering on itself, right? I don't even know what the discount to NAV is right now. It's like 40%, and that there's something fundamentally wrong with it, that it's underperforming Bitcoin by 40%. So it's kind of like broken. So to have an ability to invest with your big accounts, your big boy accounts, and not have to hold Bitcoin, which is what most people want. I know that sounds crazy. Most people don't want to have the responsibility and risk of owning these assets themselves. It doesn't feel good when you lose it, and they want to feel that there's some insurance in case it would disappear. Thank you, Daniel. Tay Brown, thanks for all you do, BCB. What price action are you predicting for XRP for the rest of the summer? Well, that's a time question. So that is a when moon or a what will happen over the course of a specific amount of time. I can't tell you what will happen throughout the rest of the time. The problem is we're in a trading range. These are all just the things we've discussed about and the things that, of where we're at right now, right? You're in a trading range. You had a wick that got you higher when the SEC emails were released. The selling volume was so absolutely massive at that moment. It was reversal volume that showed up in there. So right now, there's nothing indicating that this thing is like ready to go into a breakout. And just have to continue expecting ranging behavior, and that the potential there's there of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that this never would have happened had it not been for that exact email moment, right? This only lasted for 1 hour. It was on the release of the emails and was massively rejected immediately. So big debate on what to do about this thing right in here. And that upper shadow wick is horrendous. It's terrible. So, is it ABC? And if it is, then it's still the cruel summer here for XRP. If you want to have like hype for a day, there it is. We're at day number 797, which is precisely how many days this lasted for back in 2015, 16, and 17. We're there, number of days. But that's not like, if you want to say there's like some secret code written into the simulation of the universe that says that has to happen, great, but I don't see anything. Maybe if like Judge Torres ruled or something and all XRP holders are freed from the wrath of the SEC, maybe. Otherwise, I don't see anything unless a surprise, big, massive breakout comes in the market or something, indicating we're like at a breakout level, right? When we're back at the breakout levels and we're fighting against it and pressing against it, that's when it's like, okay, this is a high intensity moment happening in here, but we're not there anymore. So now we're just kind of meandering around, nothing huge happening in here currently right now. So to say rest of summer, you're probably saying through July, through August, what is the next 2 months of price action going to be? It could be a variety of things. And I can't predict time like that. But thank you, Tay. Pat gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Pat. You've been amazing. You came out the gates just a couple weeks ago and like crazy. Thank you. Lakeside Crypto, last week you mentioned chipping away or long-term XRP bags. You mean starting to sell or accumulate? Chipping away at your long... No, I don't think I said chipping away. I'm definitely not selling any. Last week, chipping away. I'm definitely not selling any. Last week I had mentioned I wasn't adding XRP yet. But no, I'm not selling. There's not a chance. Not a chance. I'm here for the run. John Grimm, interior renovations. Thank you so much. First timer. Message was retracted, but thank you very much. Blockfella, what up, BCB? Happy Father's Day. What about the Bitcoin dominance breaking up or going above 50? Does it make it more probable for a new all-time high? I don't think it does. So I even just recorded this whole video for the course yesterday. It was yesterday. We're talking all about Bitcoin dominance and talking about Ethereum dominance and stablecoin dominance. In that, there's a reason. If you haven't been in crypto for more than 5 years, right, or 6 years, what the Bitcoin dominance has historically meant, right? So in this time period, this is during Big Bear, right? Okay, we're off log. Right. So why has the Bitcoin dominance stayed so low during this whole entire time period, right? If Bitcoin, like this is Bitcoin going and plowing to the all-time high. It was just this one moment right in here, right here. And then boom, it gets through the all-time high, off and down it goes. So the only time I'd be thinking like we'd have to see price action also happening at the same time for all-time high. But I don't think the Bitcoin dominance is anyway indicative of your question is probable for a new all-time high. I don't think this gives us any type of thing. I think it just has this whole behavior here for Bitcoin in this time period is just a safety trade, is all it is. And the reason that we haven't seen Bitcoin dominance fire all the way up like this is that Bitcoin hasn't been the safety trade. That there's been other safety options available out there. And I don't think we're going to see anything like this again for Bitcoin dominance. And I'm not convinced that this is going to go skyrocketing higher, but that we're kind of in the final phases of this thing. But we'll see. I mean, we just spent 2 whole freaking years in this thing, and now we're on the top side of it. So we'll see where it goes. That was a long 2 years for it to hit both sides take out lows 3 times, take out the lows 3 times, and then finally get its way out of here. So we'll see. We'll see. This is one of the reasons why I keep Bitcoin in my portfolio, is in these circumstances right in here. If this thing does keep moving up, all that means to me is I have some ammo to be able to unload into the altcoin market even more. Okay, Oreo, this is a good question. It says, "Hey, thanks for all you do, BCB. What was the previous bear market like, 2018 to 2020? How do you compare sentiment to current levels? Have we suffered enough?" I've actually done videos, and I've written a newsletter like this because I kept an emotional log during that time period to show what it was like. That it was definitely had all the same feelings of this. I think the only thing that was different in 2018 is that, like, from April of 2019 to June of 2019, like this 3-month period, we got a pretty big rock and move in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin goes from there to there, right? That was like a rock and move happening in Bitcoin. We come off the lows, we come off with aggression, just wham, 200, 300% off the lows. And that brought a lot of excitement back into the market. But then after that, that little 3-month period that we had, then we go into garbage for another 475 days. And don't believe it for half a second, anybody who tells you differently. In this moment right in here, everybody thought the market was going to collapse again. I know it because I was making YouTube videos and I had to deal with the comments every single day of my life. And if you go back and check my videos, you'll probably see it, that I'm sitting here having to fight against all the people who are saying, we're going to do this again. Because this is all that was being posted on Twitter, was that this was going to happen again. There was post-traumatic stress coming off of C19. So we had, we go through that, great. Then we go like a year sideways. And then, boom, we have C19 and we go all the way back down to the lows again. That moment in time was a devastating blow. A lot of the market, we go off the lows, we pull up. What's the market doing? Everybody's optimistic. Everybody's drawing bull flags happening in here, saying, here we go. And then we get a devastating blow all the way back down to the lows. That's where the altcoin market cap goes back. Like we saw, it hit the absolute lows again. The altcoin market cap drops to $37 billion. Absolutely brutal. Market sentiment in the complete gutter. And what you had at that time, too, is you had everything else going on. You had C19 going on, and you had no hope. You had 20% unemployment. We're talking. Oh, don't let me do that. Let me replay it. Why will you not let me replay it? All right, we're gonna put it like this then. Okay, the altcoin market is down 92%. Okay, so put that into perspective. 92 versus 74. Okay, right now it's 74. Down 92%. We come down and hit here, and we're sitting right here, and we have C19. 20% unemployment. People scared for their lives. Everybody's rushing to buy toilet paper. People are filing for unemployment. Could you imagine what it was like being bullish on crypto at this moment, making YouTube videos saying, hey, yes, okay, cool, that was it. That was spring. Now it's time to go off into massive bull run. Imagine the toxic trolls then. It was crazy. They call you irresponsible. Can't you at least recognize 20% of people are unemployment and scared for their lives, and their friends and family are dying? And you're over here saying altcoin market's gonna rip. What is wrong with you? Down 92% compared to 74 right now. Right? I think it said 74% right now. Entirely different. Absolutely, completely brutal moment in time back then. And for example, like XRP was down 96%. Right? To have an equivalent of what 96% would feel like, we've seen this drop of 85%. Here's what 96 looks like. dropping down to 7 cents. You're sitting at 47. Imagine sitting at 7. %96.53%. So just under 7 cents with the 6 in front of it. That's what that was like. So 47, huh? Imagine it being 6. Imagine it being 7. That's what that was like. The sentiment we have now, the hard part was that we sat down for so long and haven't seen any significant rise up happen. So that's where sentiment is really struggling at, or what my thoughts are. But to say it's been lower and more desparish, it's definitely been there. And the hard part was being down here on these lows so low, being down 92%, right? Compared to 74 we are right now, 92, sitting down here for right? We sat down here for, a year and a half, and then we hit it again. That was brutal. A year and a half, and then we go back and hit it again. And the market washes out, and things like XRP go and set new lows. That was very, very brutal. So like times right now, like I'm having post-traumatic at this moment in time. Because, of course, I'm worried about retrace levels. Those always scare me when we're back at these retracement levels. And then I'm just looking through, remembering what that was like. That, like, how many days was this? Right? How many days was it until C19 hit from the peak of the market? Right? Right here. Till C19. How many days? 797. Does that number sound familiar to you? It's what we just talked about on XRP. It has been 797 days since XRP peaked in April of 2021. We are on day 797. So imagine you get hit with C19 right here, right now. Right? And imagine we see the whole market do a 68% plunge right here, right now. That's C19. And that was at 797 days. So if we wanted to have a similar sentiment of what it was like then, imagine sitting down here for over a year and a half, and then having just a sudden 70% crash, and then everybody goes unemployed and people are scared for their lives. That was 2018 through 2020. And so the people who say, oh, yeah, it was obvious, the Fed was printing money and dropping interest rates. It was obvious. No, it wasn't. I remember being in there. I was making YouTube videos the whole time. Every single video was toxic. People think I'm not used to that. They think they're clever with their troll comments. Like, you realize it's so funny how programmed societies, how many times you hear the same joke of people who think they're so clever. It's all, I've seen it all before. And this time in here was by far the worst, by far brutal. And then, don't look so stupid after that, right? But getting through that and living in that was without question unbelievably brutal. There's no saying we can't continue to have that type of volatility in here, and to say I am certainly on the edge of my seat on day number 797, which is when we had C19 happen during our last one. So, and where were we, right? So we were in spring phase, right? So we were in spring phase at day 797, and then we're looking at all these other assets, and we're looking at them in spring phase this deep into it all, right? So was sentiment worse? For sure. And like, the thing right now is that we have the SEC, right? So we have like, they're trying to, discredit crypto, it kind of feels like. But we had all of that back then too. And back then, crypto was still kind of a laughing stock. Like the general public wouldn't buy it. We had not had a Super Bowl commercial yet. We had not been like you had FTX on the World Series jerseys or on baseball umpire jerseys of Major League Baseball all year long in 2021. That type of acceptance wasn't there. Kevin O'Leary, who puts laser eyes on his profile at $55,000 Bitcoin, was the absolute critic all throughout here. It's like, oh, wow, congratulations, everybody, for finally realizing here in 2022 and 2023 that Kevin O'Leary is a bad guy in crypto. Tried to warn that up here, that when he came in and he was luring you to the top, that was a bad sign. But that, CNBC, it was the only coverage we would get on CNBC during all of this was that doubt crypto is not going to become a thing. It's totally made up. Bitcoin will never go. And really all they would talk about is Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin will never go. And then finally, when it did, they poured everybody back in. So we had that negative sentiment. We had negative coverage. We had no perceived investor institutional interest. The only thing that and eventually ended up coming along was Grayscale. But even that, it ended up being a flop. So yeah, I don't know. I went on that for a long time, but I just wanted to kind of reiterate the things that we're seeing in this market are not. The reason I can keep a level head is because I have gone through all this, and then it ended with that. It ended with as I don't know if you can get worse than that. Like where everybody thinks the sky is falling and 20% sudden unemployment. And people think they're going to die. And the only thing people care about is getting hand sanitizer, face masks, and toilet paper and paper towels. That's what that moment was like, right? I mean, we all lived through that C19 moment, but being in markets, it was perceived that you were insane to even be considering that markets would go up. And that to understand from a price action perspective how bad it was, it's equivalent to the price of XRP being 7 cents right now. So you're at 47. Imagine that getting shaved all the way down to 7. That's what that moment was like. Percentage-wise, time-wise, narrative-wise, it was really bad. And I came out the other side. I came out the other side and went on that thing. So, I've learned through experience, no matter how bad it feels sometimes, I just got to keep on chugging, keep on going. All right. And thank you. Boy, I was on that one for a long time, huh, Oreo? I hope you understood, man. And like on my newsletter, I have stuff where I like put in what my emotional log was like during this whole time period. People seem to enjoy reading that because it's brutally honest. It's brutally honest of how I was feeling during all these time periods, having gone through this big of a moment for the first time ever, going through that big of a crash, 92%, and buying, and how stupid I felt, how dumb I felt, how irresponsible I felt, how like it didn't feel right. It was every emotion in every bone of my body was telling me this was the wrong thing to do. But I had made this decision. It's what I was going to do. And I was going to keep a documented log of what it was like. And I shared that in my newsletter. And I believe I've shared that in other videos too, of really exactly what that was like. And if you want to see somebody who is absolutely losing their dang mind and being, can't remember the term, self-deprivating, talking down to yourself, right? You got stinking thinking. You're talking really bad to yourself, saying, you got a problem. You're wrong. You're doing this. You're so stupid. Why are you doing this? And I've got that in all my emotional log. And in the end, when it was the moment that felt the stupidest, when it was the moment that felt the most wrong and irresponsible, it turned out to be the complete right time. And then the moment where everybody is telling you to buy and Elon Musk is getting in is the absolute time not to be getting in, right? And that's just how markets are. We all know it. We all know buy low, sell high. You all know it. Everybody knows it. But when nobody ever tells you when they do that is what the emotions are like in that moment. And that low always feels horrible. And high always feels great. But when you do the opposite, when it's feeling horrible and you're putting more money in, you feel stupid. And then when it's feeling great and prices are going up, you don't want to sell because it could keep going higher. And that feels stupid. So your emotions are just like your worst nightmare in markets at all times. It's programmed in our DNA, fight or flight mechanism. And that doesn't work here. You have to do the opposite of fight or flight. And that's why it doesn't feel natural. And that's why it feels horrible. Go with Greenleaf. He says, unlike 1929, we are no longer on the gold standard. Thus, Great Depression-like event will actually not go as low as targeted. Fed will step in again. Well, you have to wonder on that. What will they rather sacrifice? Will they rather sacrifice? One, you have to remember the Fed is not allowed to trade stocks, right? So they won't be the ones getting in the markets. They won't be the ones manipulating markets. They don't care. If Congress gets out, then what will everybody care about? If Congress is out of the stock market and if the Fed is out of the stock market, what do they care about? They care about the strength of the US dollar, right? One of them is going to have to suffer. Who is it? Is it going to be the stock market or the dollar? All right. All retail investors think it'll be the dollar. And with your statement, this is what most retail investors believe. They'll never let a Great Depression happen. The Fed will step in and the Fed will save the day. But you don't know how much leverage is built up in the system. You don't know what type of unwinding could end up happening that they can't stop. So I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't bet that at all. But thank you, Go with Greenleaf. Oscar Hernandez, my dude, F super cycle still in play? We'll see, man. I mean, nothing has changed with that chart. Just I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I just pointed that out. That's been insane. I'll show you guys that. You all know it. Bitcoin did super cycles. Is Ethereum in a super cycle? Right? Same moves, same style corrections, right? Expanding flats, extended flats, same things. Will it go? We'll all find out. I don't know. I sure hope so. That would be awesome. But you'd need some serious capital flow into Ethereum for that to occur. It'd be awesome if it is, but outside of this stuff right in here, that's what you got. Rest in peace, Harambe. I think we're all talking about blockchain trucker, right? I'm sorry, blockchain trucker, man. I guess you lost. I'm not on Instagram. So by the way, if you're following me on Instagram, I'm not on Instagram. That's not me. That's a scammer. But I guess blockchain trucker lost his Instagram with like 100,000 people. And so everybody's saying rest in peace, Harambe. Matthew. Gruska, BCB. Check out the RSI on the Dow Jones Industrial Average on a 12-month time frame. From the high in 2000 to the low in 2009, the 2021 rally took the RSI to a 702 retracement. I don't usually do, I do not do Fibonacci's on relative strength. Oh, look at the Dow getting absolutely slammed back from the 702, down 373 points. NASDAQ down 134. Has it lost it? See, you can see S&P down. How about NASDAQ? NASDAQ still on top. But S&P slammed down, Dow slammed down. Looking at monthly, you said? On the 12-month time frames, if we're going to a year. Oh, okay. We're talking about this thing in here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't usually do that. I have not done enough study on that. So in relative strength, it's just comparing past strength. Yeah, like a rolling average 14. So I wouldn't do that. But hey, look at the daily on the stochastic RSI, or not the daily. Look at the stochastic RSI on the yearly time frame is starting to point down. Sometimes these things can catch each other, and technically speaking, we're only 6 months into the year, so there's enough time for this thing to kind of recover a little bit. But I don't ever tell you guys what to do. But we've presented this so many times on the stock market. Like, if you are still like 100% exposed to equities and your 401ks and all that stuff, and you don't have diversification in there, that is a good topic you should talk to your financial advisor about. Because if you are 100% exposed to equities, you see where you're at. You see where you're at. Courtney, coming out swinging, 5 blockchain backer memberships. Thank you, Courtney. I'm so far behind, aren't I? I'm 25 minutes behind. Probably sat around waiting a half an hour for that. Thank you so much, Courtney. I appreciate it. Weaver's son, thank you for the super chat. You got no message in there, but it was your first time, or thank you so much. And Matthew, that was your first time. Thank you very much, too. How can it be a cruel summer? The Ashes is on. I guess I don't know what that's cricket. Okay, yeah. So yeah, here in the United States, which is totally lame because I think I would really like cricket. It's not a popular sport here. It's like the second or third most popular sport in the entire world. It's like nothing here in the United States. But I think it would be cool. I mean, it's got a lot of kind of similar elements to baseball, which is my favorite sport. So I kind of wish it was more popular here. Oscar gifted a membership. Thank you, Oscar. And thank you, Hugh D. Dr. Ty says, first timer here. No, it's not. I heard when merch would be more exciting than when moon. Love the community you've created for the followers of the frog. Thank you very much, Dr. Ty. Yeah, that I think that's getting pretty close to being done. But like I said, the course would come first and then that will. But that's been in production and creation. Per you guys' request. You guys know I've always been like, I don't know. But yeah, it's coming, and it's been worked on. It's not remember for like 4 months, I was kind of like, yeah, I'll think about it. And I just kind of brush you guys off and move on to the next topic. It's in full swing. Weaver Sun says, XRP Roadrunner here. Been a fan since the beginning of your channel. Thanks for everything you do. Me. Oh, thank you so much. XRP Roadrunner under the name of Weaver Sun. Thank you. Oscar Hernandez says, this taco is for Eric Martinson. Yeah, Eric said he couldn't be here today. So, all right, Eric, we miss you. I'll find out why. I'm assuming it's work related. Eric is here every day. Eric was texting me yesterday because, we didn't have markets in the morning yesterday. And he was like, this has been the most productive morning I've had in a long time. And I was like, me too. I hope I didn't train him now that he could be more productive without a markets in the morning. John Graham, Interior Renovation, says, how high VeChain retrace. Where do I find dev info 2020 follower here? I don't think I have dev info for VeChain. Let me organize this. Yeah, I don't have any dev information for VeChain. I don't know. So out of the top 30, VeChain was one of the 6 or 7. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. 1 cent, huh? Yeah, so I don't own this. I don't believe I've ever owned VeChain. You know, lay down your fibs and make a guess, right? You think 50%? Do you think 61.8? Do you think 702? Most common retrace levels are right here, like this little nub that sits right there. So let's go see what that retracement level actually is. It's not even 1. Poorly done, BCB. Yeah. I would think this thing's approaching its end. You know, whether it has to stay down here for some time before working its way back up. But as for the retracement, so here, let me take one look at one other thing, because I did some other data diving this morning. I wish I knew what the developer data for VeChain was, because it has other elements that I'm okay with data. Like I said, I've been working on the course and stuff and trying to compile data and try to find interesting statistics that were relevant in 2021. Because only if you went and accumulated the top of the market, even if you went and accumulated the top 20, or if you went and accumulated the top 30, and you spent the whole bear, right? If you spent this whole time buying nothing but the top 30, only 20% of them would have gone off into new all-time highs. Only 20%. So what were the elements that made those ones unique? And VeChain was one of those, of the top 30. Now, will it do it again? You know, I think VeChain went up, I don't remember the exact number, a lot. It was one of the biggest ones. It was just one of the ones that went into new all-time highs, but whether it was one of the biggest ones, I'm not sure. But I don't have more data on VeChain. I'm sorry. I don't know. Right. And so the thing you have to learn about charts, right? And so this is a good thing to talk about. A lot of time people will be like, hey, can you look at my altcoin that I have, some random altcoin that I have? There is nothing that is going to replace than just becoming a master on 5 charts. Every chart's going to have different market participants. Every chart's going to have different market makers. And then figuring out what exact fibs does this chart tend to respond to. That's what those bots on that chart are set to. That's what those traders are used to. That's what the market makers are used to. And there's typically going to be repetitive behavior that happens within one particular asset. You think it's by chance that this is what has happened, that we have an 85.5% correction on XRP, and then that the accumulation schematics are so similar? Or do you think that's bot behavior, right? It's likely bot behavior, participant behavior, where the emotions of a particular crowd are at all points, how they respond at specific levels. Nothing's gonna, trying to be the master of 100 charts is entirely different than trying to be the master of 3 or 4. And trying to focus on specific ones very closely, which is why we don't pull up a ton of altcoin charts to look at here. We usually stick to Bitcoin. We'll talk about Ethereum here and there, talk about XRP, altcoin market chart, because those are the ones I'm living and breathing in to try to get an understanding of where the market is at. But if you go through every chart and you start laying down fib retracements on all of them, you're going to find differences in a lot of them. They're not all going to be identical. So, if you want to say, hey, where could VeChain retrace to, go look at previous retracements on VeChain and see what does it seem to repetitively go back to before those market makers start slamming down on it. But yeah, I'm hoping we get some updated developer data there because I'd like to see what VeChain's is. VeChain has some okay other data. However, like I've said, I don't see the need for VeChain. Somebody who worked in, I've worked in international trade. Consumers just don't care where their stuff is made. They don't care. It's kind of like it's the exact same thing like we talked about with privacy coins. People care about privacy. They say they don't like the IRS spying on them. They say this, they say that. But when it comes time to actually do something, they don't do it. You know what I mean? Right. I don't want people to be able to see into my bank account, but okay, I'll use Bitcoin anyway. Right? I don't want the IRS spying on me, but I'll use Bitcoin anyway. I don't want to buy stuff made in China, but okay, I'll buy the cheapest item at Walmart because I just need something to get me by. Right? It's the same exact concept. $6.16 at 2025. Okay, I'll go listen to that. Let me see. Maybe I can refresh my mind on what I was thinking of that, but definitely not selling, man. At all. I don't recall buying any XRP last week. I'll have to check. Maybe I said that I would be. I don't think I had been. I'll have to check. When Super Cycle XRP? Hopefully today. Oscar, Harambe, Goat, Frog, Hook, and Pirate. Pirate Fly, of course, those are XRP related things. Okay. Azo Air says, at what price would you be looking to add XRP, and what do you think about 1 inch? I don't know anything about 1 inch, and I don't have any data on 1 inch. And I don't think they're even on my radar. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even think they're in like the top 60 or top 70. So I'm not familiar with them, which would mean they likely have under a $500 million market cap. Rubix, you say BCB, VeChain uses blockchain to validate legitimacy of not just goods, but things like temperatures. This is a huge use case. How can you not understand the need for it? Okay, tell me why you need the token and why the token needs to be valuable. I'll wait for you. What price do you be looking to add XRP? What do you think about 1 inch? I don't know anything about 1 inch. I've read the name, of course, before, but I don't know anything about it. XRP ads for me there. $44 to $37. So that box has obviously shifted up much higher. That box used to be down here. That box is higher now. If I don't, and the only reason I'm even willing to do it is just because that's what I perceive would be a decent deal, right? I'm not desperate to add XRP to my bags. I've been buying for 5 years, right? I've gotten very low prices for a very long time. It's not desperation for me to top off my bags a little bit. But if I get an opportunity to buy what I would think is a good deal, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm not desperate to be adding here. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Yeah, that's it. Oh, like if we got like okay, so like we were talking about day 797, what day are you on today for XRP? We're on day number 797, right? So that's interesting, isn't it? Like there's two different things that happened, right? Day 797 was the day that the C19 just kind of went nuts. And then also, that's in 2020. And then in 2017, day number 797 was the moment things went nuts to the other direction for XRP. Two totally different time periods, but day 797 was something big. Crazy. Let's see if I got an answer for why the token is supposed to be valuable. Rubik's. So the more VET you hold, the more VTHO you generate for uploading data of verified goods and temps shipping to the blockchain. Okay, what? So the more VChain you hold, the more VTHO you generate. Okay, so this is like a delegation thing. This is like, you have to hold it. Then you generate another coin. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Okay, it's gas. All right, so what? That's the same thing as NEO. You hold NEO, you earn gas. Why does the VChain token have value? Because you earn another token that is gas? You're going to have to understand, guys, I'm going to come at this from a perspective of someone who has worked in this industry. Millions of dollars moved. So you're supposed to buy another coin, VTHO. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So why do you need a gas token for upload? Okay, you need a gas load. It's the gas token used for uploading your data. So yes, it's a dual token system, but I don't understand why the VChain token has to have value. Just so you can earn the VHO1 VTHO, so that way you can have gas. I mean, yeah, it sounds like the VChain token, the only point of it is to hold it to earn another token. Most tokens have no use case. I'm not singling out VChain. People are asking about VChain, Daryl. Now, you can get defensive and leave and unsubscribe. That's fine. Or you can pay attention to the conversation. VChain does not really have value. I'd rather invest in VTHO when I believe in V. Okay, so there you go. JJ sounds rehearsed in it and says that the VTHO token has more value. Get your life together, Daryl. Nice. Better life, Bob. Ode. What is your opinion about Chainlink? Nick, yeah, I talked about this earlier. So I don't have conviction in Chainlink long term, right? And that's, you'll have to rewatch this to see, but we actually talked about the Chainlink chart for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. That I might be cutting it pretty soon. The reason I don't, like, there's things that I can have long-term conviction on and ride out. Trickster, I'll get to you in a second. We've covered Trickster, man. You got to tune in, bro. We've probably talked about this 100 times over the last year. Chainlink has declining developer data. That's the big red flag immediately. That's the thing that should automatically already be the big, huge red flag in the room, is the developing data in Chainlink, which we've obtained like in the last month. That's my big fear on Chainlink. So this is my first time ever even buying Chainlink. I didn't write it up in 2021. I didn't write it down in 2022 or 2020, but I've grabbed it down here at these lows for an accumulation, which we've been in for a year. Question is it in a spring right now? And it's a big risk of, is it in a spring or is it going down even lower? But I'm not interested in being a long-term holder of Chainlink. Trickster says, hey, BCB, what's going on with EOS? It's pretty low. I swapped my Tezos into EOS because historically Tezos goes much lower. Can EOS plunging lower? So like people aren't paying attention like on EOS. It is being abandoned, guys. We've talked about that for a year. The Twitter has gone completely silent, and then we've shown developer data. Even last week, like we actually spent like 15 minutes going through developer data of 2019, showing EOS, showing that in 2019 EOS was the number one in transaction count, above Ethereum and above Bitcoin. Number three in developers, right? So you had Ethereum, Bitcoin, then EOS with like 300 developers on EOS. And then you watched it slowly decline and decline and decline and decline and eventually get to abandonment right there in like November of 2021. So, that's the case of where it's at, man. Oscar, when super cycle? All right. All right. Crypto Brother says, hi, could you check YFI, Yearn Finance, please? It went a couple of times higher than Bitcoin. What do you think, BCB? YFI. USD. I don't think I've ever even been on this chart before in my life. Went a couple of times higher? I don't know. Well, I mean, is that the end of Wyckoff spring, right? Maybe. I don't know what the volume is of this. I don't know what the rank of this is, right? Is this, I don't think this is even in the top 60, right? Smallest to largest, alphabetical, A to Z. So this is not in the top 60, if I'm correct. So I don't know. I don't know what's up. I mean, this is like, classic capitulation, secondary test, spring. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like very, very straightforward, classic spring. The thing to be checking on when I don't know about this, right? And people always say, how do you not know about this one? And like with VeChain, you have to understand, people have tried to pitch me VeChain for years. So, this is nothing new. That's what's always happened on this channel. Hey, VeChain. This one, no one's ever talked to me about Yearn Finance. And there's so many coins, it's hard for me to know about everything. So I just don't know enough about Yearn Finance to even know what it is, what it does. Is there, I don't see it. Don't believe I have anything on develop. Let me see if I have any developer data on it. I do. Awful. Horrid. Horrible. They're down to 9 full-time developers, which is down 53% over the last year. So they've lost half their developers and they're down to 9. So 9 is really low. That's full-time. As for just total developers, you got part-time and you got one-time. They're down to 27, which is down 64%. So there doesn't seem to be any interest in this. There's not many developers on it, and they're in massive decline. That's one of the biggest decliners that I've seen. So if I had to organize them, smallest to largest, yeah, it's really at the bottom of the barrel of developer decline. But I don't know what it is. So I don't have anything negative to say about it because I don't know what it does. But I mean, definitely looks like Wyckoff accumulation in spring to me. And maybe I'm missing something that I don't know about this thing. So no thoughts outside of structurally. It looks very accumulation to me. We're at about a year into this for it, right? That's the appropriate amount of time to spend down in here. And we're in spring, just like a lot of the rest of the market. I'm going to guess the supply and inflation dynamics on this thing are okay, not terrible. Things that we've noticed that have really bad inflation metrics are things like, and again, people think I'm talking bad. I'm not. Algo, HBAR, Filecoin, these have all had huge inflation issues. And that's why sometimes these bearish periods can feel way worse for some coins than others because there's so much supply being printed. And while their market caps are holding up okay, they're getting decimated on their actual coin price because in the last 2 years, right, since this market really peaked like 2 years ago, a lot of these coins have increased their supply by hundreds of percent over multiples, right? Multiple X's of supply have entered while their market caps have held up okay. So it's just this massive dilution problem. And I don't see that happening here with Yearn Finance due to it still holding these lows in here, that the inflation on this thing is probably okay. But I'm not familiar with it. And there is big developer decline in it. And there's not many developers working on it. So otherwise, it's up to you. Hamish, I can't because it's in an Excel file. I created my own Excel file of like exported data. I've gone through slide decks. I've typed everything out because a lot of stuff isn't in like simple data. It's all stuff I put in my Excel file. And I got a lot of stuff in my Excel file. And I worked on it. I made it. It's mine. Robert Clark asks, do you have an opinion on QNT? Thank you very much, Robert. So I know there's a lot of excitement about QNT. A lot of people talk about it. From the chart, it like hasn't gone as deep as other things, right? And so I've been eyeing it to like add it, but I haven't added it. I also don't fully understand it. So that's one reason I haven't. And another reason I haven't is I also don't know the developer data on it. That's an important thing for me. Let me check one other thing. A to Z. Okay, yeah. So there's other metrics that look good to me, but I need some developer data on Quant, right? I would say Quaint. Got in trouble for that at XRP Las Vegas. I need to research it more, but people talk nothing but positive about it, right? So the only thing that like I look at that I'm kind of like, can this thing really get a whole lot more than it's already gotten? There's another thing I teach people to do. Like if you are the type of person who like, I have to buy something because everybody on Twitter is telling me to go buy it, go look at Coin Trader Pro and look at the historical price action of an asset, right? So nothing horrible about this. I mean, this is exactly what, market looked like, and it can go do that, no problem. And especially this late into the game, we've been in it this long. It's normal. There's nothing crazy about this happening right in here. The thing is, when you look at it on log scale, then you say, okay, look how high it really is. I mean, a lot of this market has pulled back down, or at least gotten like, this asset was $1.42, right? It went up 30,000%, and still sits at 100, right? So during the C19 sell-off, this is an asset that went to $1.44. Still up over 50x from that price. I don't think it's, let's compare some other data. Like how high is Ethereum, right? Ethereum has performed very well. So the Quaint is up about 70x currently still from that moment. So for example, Ethereum's up 16x from the bottom of C19, right? Bitcoin is up 5x from the bottom of C19, right? So when you have something like QNT, still up 63x from the bottom, it just, it's held up really well. I just, I don't know why that's always left me uneasy. That has left me uneasy that, you could have bought it for only $1.42 and it just won't leave that range. So getting as high as, You go from $1.42 to over 400. That's such a giant rise, right? Is that ever in the cards again? Highly unlikely, right? I mean, how high are we talking here? $12,000. So what is 125x the current market cap of Quant? It's like ranked in the 30s, right? Let's see, where are you? It's 37. So what did we say that is? 125x current. I mean, that puts it at, 130, $140 billion market cap. Is this going to compete with Ethereum? I think that's kind of the question. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I need to research more on it. I think the thing that held me up, I'm in this current phase is I have very certain metrics I'm looking at first as I'm weeding things down. That I'm probably going to do some portfolio adjustments. It's kind of a good time to do it without any type of like capital gains happening here. And I'm going through a ton of metrics, but I just don't have all the metrics that I need for Quant. So it hasn't been on my radar, but I will try to see if I can find something more on it and research more on it before I make that decision. But I don't have the data for Quant to know. I just don't know. Yeah, that's my opinion. A lot of people talk about it. I know the price is still very high from where it was, much higher than the average. Most of the market has not held that type of price level. So, for example, in relation to the rest of the cryptocurrency market and the discounts that we are seeing throughout the cryptocurrency market, Quant is not cheap. It's not low. Being down 79% off the all-time high currently right now with how high it actually got, it's just not that cheap. And I think that's been a hard thing that, can I build a case for other stuff, right? In this market, like if you treat this market as it was in the past, in the last cycle, right, we have to recognize the differences of what happened between 2017 and between 2021. In 2017, you had a 90% hit rate. You go by the top 10, 9 out of 10 are going to the moon. And gonna at least like the average was 70x returns from 2015 to 2017 in the first altcoin season, right? 70x returns. Then if you look at 2021, the average is like 12x returns on the top 10, right? And you only have 2 of 10 that are going to do something substantial. If you carry those statistics, and then the same goes for top, the ranks number 11 through 20, same thing, 12, 13x is the average with only 2 doing anything substantial. So you have to kind of go into it with the mindset of like, everybody wants to be the guy who's like, my portfolio is the perfect portfolio. I'm only buying the ones that are going to go to the moon. Statistically speaking, that's just not going to happen. And statistically speaking, you're going to be lucky, like seriously, you will be lucky if half the ones you buy go. You would actually be significantly outperforming a massive amount of your peers if half of them do it. Because the average is 2 out of every 10. And so if I'm going through and I've got a list of like, these are the ones that I think like, based on what happened in 2021, these were the elements that these like had in common, the ones that did go. And these are the elements that the ones that failed had in common. Can I improve my odds by not like just accumulating the top 10 and saying, that's it, let's see what happens, but rather try to eliminate some that had these similar criteria and some that had these positive criteria. And I'm formulating that big list right now. But the thing is with Quant, I don't have the data to be able to categorize it in good or in bad. So we need more data. But there does seem to be some stuff to improve your odds. And so that's the kind of stuff I'm compiling right now. and kind of waiting until I'm finished with that. Maybe I can have that done by today, and then make adjustments. But Chainlink is probably going to be one that's going to be cut here pretty soon. Still holding though. It's still above 5. Second timer here. No, you're not. Dr. Ty. Can you show us the way to buy other coins when XRP has the potential to buy to? Okay. Second timer here. Can you show us the way to buy other coins when XRP has the potential to 20x? And it is more solid than 99% of coins out there. I'm not sure I understand your question, man. Can you show us the way to buy other coins when XRP has the potential to 20x and it is more solid than 99% of coins out there? I'm not sure I understand your question, my dude. If you type it in the chat, I'll read it. Oscar, my man, he says, I haven't looked, but the current market cap on Bitcoin is higher than all altcoin cap while Bitcoin dips. Any thoughts on it? No, not really. I'd have to look at it and compare it to historical norms to see what happens in that. I saw TXMC post something, and I kind of chatted with him. He was saying like the market cap of Ethereum has exceeded the market cap of the rest of the altcoin market. And I always give him a hard time. I'm like, Bitcoin maxi. He's like, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. But the last time that happened, they want to point to it and be like, see, S coins are garbage. But the last time that exact metric happened, that was the start of the altcoins taking off. So I don't know. I'd have to look and see if what has happened in historical norms with that, Oscar, and what happens after that. I'm going to bet it's not the first time it's happened. Dr. Ty, have you typed in here yet? Where are you? I don't see you in there, man. Dr. Ty is speaking in code. See, the only thing I can interpret your question is maybe show us why. I'm assuming maybe you spent, can you tell us why you would buy other coins when XRP has the potential to 20x and it's more solid than 99% of the coins out there? Well, first of all, XRP is the number one that I have, right? So I have allocation to it, but it doesn't mean I'm willing to do an all-in strategy on one thing. If I had done that in 2020 through 2021, it would have sucked. You know what I mean? It would have ruined my whole run had I done that. Yeah, it is definitely still my biggest. Number 2 is Bitcoin. Number 3 is Ethereum. And you can look through the data too of 2020 through 2021. Like with certain criteria, you could have even cut out Bitcoin, and your portfolio would have done better without Bitcoin. But Comedy says, do you think SUI will go back for another low? SUI is a total gamble. You know what I mean? You've got barely any data on SUI. There's nothing, it's just a certain amount of, for me, the way I think of SUI is like, just here's a little bit of money, put it in there. This thing could go nuts in either way, right? From a TA perspective, you don't have a lot in there. And with SUI, it's one of those things you're going to have to pay attention to the total market cap of crypto rather than the actual chart of SUI, unless it starts printing really clear waves later. But right now, you've got nothing. I don't see you, Dr. Ty. There you are. I've rotated all my coins at the beginning of 2021 into XRP right before the big crash. Oh, but I still want to add more. Yeah. No, see, I'm still not willing to do that. I mean, XRP is the number one thing that I have. Yeah, Sam Pearson says SUI has very questionable supply tokenomics. Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. I think only 5% of the circulating supply is out there. So, for me, it's not something that's going to break the bank on what I have with SUI. If that stuff goes to zero, then it goes to zero. That's what it is. It's not a big amount. Cash me outside. Do you have a 10-10 split of 10% on 10 assets for portfolio diversification? No, I don't. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that strategy, actually. I've gone through and done that. Like I've said, like you have the chance of, in 2021, right? You had a 2 out of 10 chance. And probably every one of you can go look through your portfolios and say which ones did it, what percentage of them. And I bet it's going to be about 20% of the coins that you have, no matter what you bought. 20% of them are the ones that did the bigger X returns, where 20X, right? Only 2 out of 10, no matter what your portfolio was. And, so the question is, do you diversify 10% amongst 10 assets and then you get 2 out of 10 of them that go on and do it? Or if you still buy 10, what happens if you allocate 25% to one, 35% to another, and then like 5 on other ones, right? And then still you get the 2 out of 10, but it's not one of the ones that you put the larger allocations into, then that kind of hurts you too. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And that's to each person decide their own. I'm not a financial advisor on what you should do whatever the heck you want. But I see the benefit of that. I do. After doing I've done a lot of math, and it's not a bad argument. Maybe the only one to do higher than 10 from when I think about it, like, okay, let's remove thoughts of XRP, let's remove thoughts of Ethereum, let's remove thoughts of anything, right? You're just, pretend this is a strategy. You're just accumulating top 10. You don't care what's in the top 10, and you're not showing any preference to anything in the top 10, right? That's what your strategy is. I'm only buying the top 10, and I want to do equal distributions on all of them, except maybe Bitcoin. There should probably be a little bit more in Bitcoin because of the dominant swings that end up happening. And not because Bitcoin's going to massively outperform, but the way I always treat Bitcoin allocation is it's an insurance policy. And that insurance policy did pay in 2021 because Bitcoin did go first in 2021. And that insurance policy saved me. So I don't own, like, when I got into crypto, man, I believed in the idea of Bitcoin. But boy, when when this new class of Bitcoin maxis came in, who are just ludicrous, it's a different, these guys are nuts. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. When store of value became the narrative, I lost my mind. I couldn't take it anymore. It's just silly. They're coming up with any narrative they possibly can for it. But when I got in, like, man, I got Bitcoin, man. Came with the flaws, though. It came with extremely slow, clunky, public ledger. It's a feature. It's a feature. It's a public ledger. No, it's not. It's a flaw. Even in the beginning, you see it, that they were talking about we need to find a way to make it private. It's not a flaw. It's a feature. No, it's not. It needs to be private. Okay, I need to get off that soapbox. But anyway, yeah, just like the insurance policy of Bitcoin because of the swings that happen in the market. But otherwise, an even split, I totally see the benefit of that. I've run the math on that. It makes sense. Ave the Brave, first timer. I don't know what those things are, man. Let me check if you're giving me something crazy. I don't even know what this is. I don't know what those are, man. And if anything, exchange tokens, we've seen bad things happen with exchange tokens. So I'm not gonna. I don't know what that is. So these are decentralized exchange tokens. I don't know, man. I haven't looked into those. I don't know about that. Also, remember this. And here's the thing: I gotta call you out because it's your first time here, and I gotta make sure my audience is aware. This is his first time ever donating, and it's promoting 2 coins I haven't heard of. Be careful on that. We do sometimes have people come in and market altcoins in here with donations. Be careful. Not accusing you of that, man. But it's your first time here. And you opted to promote a couple of coins.
So that's a bad start for a first timer anytime. I always have to issue the warning. Be careful, everyone out there, on anything like that, where somebody comes in for their first time and they're promoting altcoins. And I haven't heard of these before. So I don't know, ranked 80, but I don't know what it is. All right, guys. So let's take a look at the stock market real quick, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this morning. Stock market, okay, Dow holding after, man, just taking a big plummet back from the 702 retracement this morning. As for the NASDAQ, it also had a nasty spill this morning. So did the S&P. Still down this morning, coming off of hitting these retracements late last week. Extreme caution there in the stock market, as now all of them did it. Absolutely. I was talking with TXMC about this yesterday. Absolutely amazing for the Dow to go in a straight line back to the 702, stops for 7 months, and then waits for the S&P to finally catch up and for the NASDAQ to catch up, and stays there the whole time. Now is the big question on, was this the first phase of distribution? Even in first phases of distribution, and why this will be complicated if it acts like they do. So like, even if we're going to set a new all-time high, here's kind of a challenge that you have here, is that what you see happening in the Dow is what does typically happen. You see an ABC that does happen in here, which would be like on the S&P, that you're usually going to see some type of ABC before it then can go on and then lights out afterwards. So even if it pauses out here, it's going to be a bumpy road here for the stock market, likely, is what my thoughts are. If we get into all-time high, you know what the thing is, though, too? Let's put the tinfoil hat on real quick. Congress still hasn't banned themselves yet. Notice that. Stock market got up. That, it was like, everybody's fearful they're going to sell. Everybody's fearful that this thing is going to collapse on itself and it's going to crumble. And Congress keeps threatening that they're going to ban themselves from owning stocks. And they never ban themselves from owning stocks. And then look what the market has done. So they still haven't banned themselves yet. So we'll see. All right. Deja vu, 702, could you quick thoughts on Bitcoin Cash? It's just like the rest. It's just like all these other altcoins. They're all sitting at the lows. There's nothing unique about Bitcoin Cash. And same story, developer data way down. Not looking too optimistic for Bitcoin Cash long term. If it catches a bounce with the rest of the market, cool. But developers down, users down, transaction volumes down. Not looking good. Thank you, Deja Vu. John Shughart, BCB, what is it that you see in SUI that makes you interested in it? I know it's not the charts. Everything about it feels like the Solana again. Right, that's kind of what it is, right? It's kind of like another Solana. Another layer one. Getting in early, right? So typically I avoid things like that. So the thing that caught my eye about it to even consider doing it was that when I watched the presentation in Consensus and they were going through all the developer data, was them showing how many developers were working on SUI and how popular it was even prior to release. And so it just so happened that I saw that presentation, and then it was a couple weeks later that the token came out, or the coin came out for SUI. So it was kind of one of those things like, all right, I'll take a small shot at this. But I even had the expectations. You guys heard, like, if it gets down to like 60 cents, that was kind of like the area that I was kind of looking for SUI. And we have gotten it now. It even dipped into the 50s. But again, it's brand new. We'll see if the floor ends up holding on that. It's kind of a ride or die thing on that. And I've appropriately allocated to a ride or die for SUI. Kermit says, what do you think of the BCB-like button token? I don't know what that is. Kermit's a frog. I don't know what that is. But thank you. And thank you, John. And thank you, Deja Vu. Far from jaded. WDY hate DeFi. It's not all faux decentralized. What? Oh, why do you hate DeFi? It's not all faux decentralized. All right, so here's the deal. Now that I hate DeFi, right? it's that I never understood it in the first place. And like, I was like, before my channel had gotten to the size that it is, back when I had like 15,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, I went on to the Lifeboats YouTube channel, and we were doing a live stream late at night one night. My wife was out of town, and I was like, I'm just at my house bored. And he was like, dude, let's do a live stream. I was like, okay, cool. At the time, it was crazy because, you know, he had 35, 40,000 subscribers. Just like a guy I've watched on YouTube for so long, and he was inviting me on his channel. It was it was so memorable to me. That's why I still remember it so well. And this was 3 years ago. And this is 3.5 years ago. And he says to me, what do you think of DeFi? And we have this long conversation. And I say, I'm not interested in it. He goes, why? And I go, because I don't know how they're getting all these yields. I don't know how all these yields are happening. And like, he went into a long thing. He spent like 30 minutes talking about DeFi and everything. And then everybody in the chat was telling me Celsius, 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 Celsius. And I'm like, but do any of you know how they're earning the yield? How are you getting this yield? And not a single person was able to answer that question at the time. You know, maybe that's changed. Maybe people know now, and you know, it's clear. But I didn't understand it at the time, and clearly all the people participating in it didn't understand it either. And then we've kind of all seen what has happened in regards to CeFi being promoted as DeFi, and you know, it all gets wrecked. And that's just kind of how I thought to myself, like, everybody's like allured by these 15% returns. But what happens when you lose 100% trying to get that 15% easy money? And I think that's, you know, that's it. Yeah, I don't know much about DeFi, that's for sure. So it's something that I've kind of avoided. And in the end, I think it's been okay. I think I've been okay by not doing it. But I don't hate it. Mr. Nobody, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm reading through the chat right now. Ismail Idol says, my first entry in Sushi Swap is 0.8. My second entry is 0.5, and I put my third at 0.1. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, if we're on a day number 797, if you get a C19 liquidation wick or something like that, maybe you'll get filled. Cash Me Outside says, I have a meeting in 10 minutes. If I miss anything, I'll rewatch. You know what? We're actually at the point of wrapping it up. How long are we into this thing? An hour and 52 minutes. My goodness. All right. Jay Jacob, the average return was 127x last bull run for the top 200. That is not true, Jay. No, it's not. Best 2 hours of my morning today, Dr. Ty. Thank you so much. Killian Roper says, did you learn anything about technology and stuff in college, or are you self-taught? I would not consider myself to be a super technology guy, but in college, my friends did call me technology boy. But like, I compare myself to my brother-in-law and my father-in-law. Those are tech guys. I'm not a tech guy. I do have like a minor in management information systems, and I do have I do have a 4-year college degree in business that I did get, 20 years ago or so, something like that. And I did go back to college again in my late 20s, and almost completed a computer science degree as well. So I've completed all the science, all the mathematics, and all but like 4 computer science classes as well. But dropped out because I started a company that was taking too much of my time, and it was super successful, and I didn't need the degree. It was very clear I was not going to pursue computer science with what was going on. And it was like this glorious thing that like, hey, I get to be like a Mark Zuckerberg or whatever. I get to drop out of college because I have a successful company. Yay. I'm like a success story. But I didn't finish. So maybe one day I'll go back and finish it. But No, I would not. I understand a lot. The irony of it. Right here's the irony of it. The classes I hated the most, dead serious. And any computer nerds in here will find the irony in it. The ones I hated the absolute most was data structures. The worst. And computer nerds will understand the irony of what I do for here and my lack of interest in data structures. Brian says, yeah, but the most important. Right. And what is blockchain? So, yeah. Yeah, Mark. Yeah. Brian, yeah. What is Excel? Yeah, I think of Excel as just math and Jay Jacob. So everything is based on math. So if you take something that's ranked 1000th and then ended in the top 200, was that the average return of the top 200? No. Because the average return of the top 10 was 12.5. The average return of the top 20 was 13.5. So you're having to come up with some kind of wacky numbers there to get 127x. Even in the top 30, right? Even if we just go ranks number 21 through 30, I'll give you the number because I've done all this math already, sir. Dang, it's gone. I have to pull it up in a video to look at it. I'm going to do it because I have to prove a point to you now. Turn off my desktop audio. It is right here. Let's see. Oh, come on, this thing's not working. There we go. Even if you included Dogecoin, right? Like, let's pretend that you bought the market here. And then you sold the market right there. Right there. Let's pretend you nailed that, right? And you bought ranks. First of all, if you bought ranks 1 through 10, your average return was 12.5. If you bought ranks 11 through 20, your average return was 13.6x. And if you bought ranks 21 through 30, your average return was 35.8x. And why was it 35.8x? Because Dogecoin would have 269x'd between those two moments. But that the average, excluding your 269x for the remainder of them, is around 6x. So however you're coming up with 127x is the average, you're likely using some type of wacky calculations to get yourself there. But that's not what the math says. Even this thing right here, it doesn't go up that high. Right? Even that's a 26x. You know what I mean? And this includes adding all stable coins to the market and all that good stuff. So how you are coming up with top 200 is average of 127x. You don't even have that in the market cap. So what happened with the successful company? So I actually, when I started my YouTube channel, I started my YouTube channel as I was still running it. The whole reason I even started, I'm gonna finish with this story, and then I'm gonna run, guys, because this is already at 2 hours long. When I it was a lot of international trade. So I have an importer's license, registered importer with the United States government, manufacturing products, shipping them around the country. And when I started it, I was working 100-hour work weeks. I'm very used to that. I'm very used to having to grind for a very long time, not making any money. And then when it's done, you release it and finally you can breathe. And that's what it was like when I built that business. And then finally it got released, slow start. Then it was fully self-sustainable to where it only required the attention of me for about 2 to 3 hours per week. My wife was able to quit her job, take care of my family. And I was working 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week. And with all that additional time that I had, I was really like starting to pay attention to markets a whole lot more, starting to pay attention to crypto. I've told the story a lot of my brother-in-law. He was mining Ethereum. I was already in groups of like mastermind millionaires who were running similar businesses to mine. And then they were talking about Bitcoin at that time too. And I was like, wow, I keep hearing about Bitcoin, and even you guys were talking about it. And then the second my brother-in-law said he was mining Ethereum, that was the breaking point. I said, that's it. I'm getting in. And back then, it was a very unfortunate time that I got in, because it was like at late stage alt season 1 of 2017. So it was like right in here, late May of 2017. It was like this time right in here. So the market still ripped way higher. And at the time, Bitcoin's right in here. Right. So this is where it happens at right here. So it wasn't like I even FOMO'd in, which is the story of most people's entry into crypto. They're going to hear about it on the news. They're going to hear excitement. They're going to FOMO in. My entry into this market occurs right in here. And, you know, right now you may be thinking to yourself, oh, that wasn't too bad. But that was, man, that was like a 40% drop. When you're new to crypto and you experience those 40% drops, your stomach isn't prepared for that, to handle that type of stuff at that time. And I've often brought up the story. This is the time where I got shooken out too, and then re-entered back in here. And that's where I started learning lessons. And that's when I had changed up my whole mindset on what was going to happen down in here, that I was going to write an emotional log and go ham. And I did. But I don't remember what your question was. Right. All right. So then, you know, I have all this spare time, right? So I'm writing emotional logs. I'm heavily in here, but my business is self-sustaining. It's on its own. And, you know, still here, I start making YouTube videos in here and just showing the things that I've shown, talking about my experiences that I've been through. One, why I saw XRP. I saw the use case for it. I was still having to wire transfer money across the world. It's just absolutely silly. So XRP made just massive amounts of sense to me. Cryptocurrency in general made massive amounts of sense to me. It spoke to me. There's nothing weirder than wiring 5 figures to the other side of the world, to some province in the middle of nowhere in a back alley. It feels weird. And there's no assurances there. There's no insurance that everything's going to go okay in that circumstance, and there's no way to track it. You have to kind of wait for an email for them to say, hey, we got your money. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do what we said we're going to do. And just how uneasy it made me feel. So being cryptos and changing the payment landscape of how the world works made sense to me. And still to this day, that's how it's done. These silly wire transfers that we do that are just ludicrous. But, you know, started the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel grew and it became center of my attention and main focus of my attention. And then when COVID struck, it actually significantly impacted my company big time. So that was a crazy blow to my company. And I actually could have kept it going, but you know, my world has become blockchain backer. And while this is a great part of my story and my life, it wasn't my you know, the business was a great part of my life, and did millions of dollars in revenue. It wasn't important to me anymore. And so then I spent the next year all the way through 2021 liquidating the business. And so finished liquidating it in 2021 and we're done. That's kind of the story without going into like too much details. Right, Lakeside Crypto. Right, so I don't perceive XRP as something we're walking into every store and using, right? But more of a payments processing for international trade. That's been my number one thing that I've thought, that will create apps to be able to transfer value for international trade where we can trade it. But yeah, without privacy, there's zero. XRP, same circumstance. For anybody who thinks we're going to walk around and use XRP as our standard everyday payments for everything like that, it's the exact same story with Bitcoin. We will not. J. Jacob says, are you still buying or waiting for last? I have not bought since last week. Yeah. I have no... with how on edge I am about day 797, just kind of patient right now. If we get another dip, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything right now. Oreo says, what is your other business? Yeah, I don't want to say what it is, but it was in the genre that I was in, was number one in the United States. Which that changes, but for about a year it was number one in the United States. Selling guppies. I've been thinking about it, man. I'm looking in that fish tank. I got 200 of those things. They're worth, you go to the store, those are like $3 or $4 a pop. I may have to sell them for a little less, like $1.50 or $2, but I might have, about 1,000 XRP in there, in that fish tank. 2-hour stream. I gotta kill this thing. I got other stuff I gotta do. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Boring day in the markets. I think the bigger thing is what is going on with the stock market, right? We're stuck there at those retracement levels. Taking a pretty big step back today, down 300 points for the Dow, down 30 points for the S&P, down 81 for the NASDAQ, back near 15,000 for the NASDAQ. So down about 0.5% to 0.75%. Pretty mixed market over here. Coinbase was slightly in the green, now down 1%. Kind of waiting on the market to give us a little bit more of a decision, but we did bounce out of the green box for Bitcoin over the weekend. So dipped itself right in, bounced itself right back out, but very clear, right? This was a support level. Now it's a resistance level, so there's no breakout happening in here. Likely the cruel summer. This is just kind of tried to lay down that foundation early into it. Yeah. So Lord TV says, looking at 4chan token. No. Right. You guys, so there's a huge difference between like pure gambling and risk taking and crypto. Crypto's already it gets that borderline gambling feel to it. But these meme coins, they're just hot potato, and you guys all know it. There's nothing about it except hot potato, no network value, no anything, no use case, no nothing. It's just who can sell it before the music stops. So free kip, you be at the leaderboards of lots of stuff. I kind of have historically done that. It's an obsessive thing. When I get my mind focused on something, it becomes center of attention. No failing, not an option. There have been times I've failed. But my mindset gets so focused on it, it becomes incredibly important. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it. We're going to wrap it up, guys. I'll check in with you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.